Do you want to go top to bottom or bottom to top? In the
Let's
Discord
do
chat
alphabetic, top to bottom.
Alright, I would say, just for like based on beta, and obviously it's going to get better, I would probably give it a probably a 9 or a 10. Ooh. And I don't know, it's hard to say. I feel like there wasn't enough content though, but again, it was only a beta, but definitely gives me an idea of what could be coming, like potentially if we end up getting like dungeons and stuff like that, or if we get just like a more streamlined means of gearing up. It just seems like it's gonna be better. I just want to see what endgame's gonna be like.
For sure. I guess that leaves up to me next, which I actually will give this one personally a 7 out of 10. And I don't mean that in like a negative connotation of any sort. 7 out of 10 means there's still 3 to be able to be improved on from beta to launch. So that's actually a very good thing. Now, the reason I say that is because as a PSO2 player and veteran, right, I had this like conversation with Cammy a little bit earlier that it's really hard to give NGS a score because we have PSO2 to compare it to. And that's exactly like the perspective that I'm looking at, that, you know, there's a lot of like small things, for example, like the stuff that can't be cancelled, or like some of the pacing or some of the things like that we're still not used to. So as like a very long time PSO2 player, I believe that these are some of the things that the players might actually get a little bit of like a, you know, first timers shock on. But regardless, like the transition and everything, once we really like iron out all the issues and all, I think it'll be wonderful and easily at least a 9 or even a 10 out of 10 from me.
Okay, that leaves me next. I'm going with an 8.2. I see this as the perfect gateway Phantasy Star for friends and family. It's a bit of a genre shift from PSO2, obviously, but what this brings for me is a chance to look at how the movement affects my way of approaching some of these fights, and using that as my way to chase depth and mastery.
All right. So, I'm up. Personally, I would rate this beta an 8 out of 10. I love, you know, the movement. It feels so fluid. Combat, I only focus on foe. So, all of my ratings is based on foe. I love how it plays when it comes to stacking the elements with uncharge and then charging. But like I said earlier, I feel like the Gi skills for it seem a little too weak and worthless at the moment. And hopefully that'll be changed, you know, later on, or at least maybe improved on a bit, as well as it feels with the skills that you take longer to charge, you can't parry out of them or just, you know, cancel out of them as easy as, you know, the first base techs. But I really, really love the gameplay. I want to see more cocoons. I want to see more dungeons like that. That is my favorite part of the game so far. Hands down.
Yeah. I guess that leaves me, right?
Yep.
So I actually posted this on Twitter, so luckily enough I already had this question answered. So honestly, I feel like with PSO2, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Also, I just feel like that's a good point. But for a lot of people, combat might seem slower, but it definitely feels a little bit more better paced than even things like base PSO2. Like, it's faster, it's a power fantasy, and base PSO2, it's an action RPG. This feels more intense. Like, we were fighting the Gigantamax enemy, and we're like, hey, holy shit, get it down quickly. And that is a feeling that, sure, I can mimic that, I guess, in an urgent quest with like TPD, but it's not the same. It's definitely escalated a little bit. I do like the fact that it feels like, to me personally, classes are a little bit more defined, although they do need a little bit more tweaking, which is why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I do like the fact that there are now the appearance of rare enemies that can be just about anything. They can be silver, gold, and any enemy could be that way as well. From what we've seen, honestly, that's a really cool feature. Whether or not that actually adds anything, I just think it's cool. And yeah, I guess that's it. That's as far as I'm gonna go, because I have a lot more to say. I'll be here all day.
We all do.
Yeah, sure. We're trying to keep it short. Alright,
Yeah,
Uber.
to her
I mean,
back.
Chrono, sorry. Chrono. I didn't forget.
Oh,
Just jumped right up.
It's all good. No worries. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Actually, for a lot of reasons, same as RC did, even though he skipped over me. I'm joking. But for a lot of the same reasons, a lot of it is comparison to PSO2, and there are things that can be built up on. One thing that for me, I played a whole lot of Hunter and Fighter, and just from our experience with something like the Gigantics, yeah, we had this case where people should be focusing on individual things, but I know for me personally, I'm someone who likes to play melee in a lot of games, and what I found was combat was really, really intense in melee. But the reward for it was that in most cases, I found that a lot of other classes that were out in range tend to just hit harder in a lot of cases, which, I mean, it's a balancing thing. It's a beta. You can't really base, like, damage and numbers really on what you're seeing. Things are going to be tweaked back and forth. But that's part of why I do want to give it that 7 out of 10 feel, is there were a lot of those targets where I felt like it was a super oppressive fight, but I didn't really have a lot that I got out of it compared to like the other classes around. Hopefully that does change. But I do agree a lot with what Marc mentioned. A lot of the pacing of the combat does feel a bit slower, but a lot of your button presses feel a bit more like intentional. Where we thought that JAs were going to be a big issue, I have never paid attention to my animations more in PSO than I have without just attacks being in the game itself. So I thought it was super, super awesome, but there are things to build on. Wall jumping, for example, the movement was great, but I do wish we had a lot more wall jumping. But there's a lot that we have to see. I mean, again, it's a beta. Hopefully more, we grow more from it.
Mm-hmm. And that actually leaves Uber next for real.
This time for real, right?
All right, 0 out of 10. No summoner neck. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna say 7 out of 10 as well, because kind of the same issues with like canceling and all of that combat. Like Fighter and Hunter both feel good, but obviously a bunch of the classes need work. I didn't get to try Ranger and Gunner, which I'm kind of sad about. But Tekker had issues with the canceling. Force just felt weak. I really like the playstyle, but like the way that it was very floaty and all that, but I didn't feel very rewarded in comparison to like Tekker. The Tekker thing was the thing about Tekker that was really nice is I like more 1PAs. That's good. That's something that I felt was a missed opportunity in PSO2, and them adding that is nice. But yeah, it's basically the same reasons as everybody else. Like the whole wall jumping could use some work. The whole like cliff climbing and all that. I feel like wall jumping could be expanded upon. And yeah, overall, I see a lot of potential though.
And then, of course, lastly, I guess we can't end it off on a better note because we have the king.
Hi. No gunblade, so I gotta say 7 out of 10. But although I didn't have the weapon I had hoped for, I found a home with Fighter. Outside of the things that have room for growth, I have to say the combat, just as everyone else said, yeah, it was a lot slower, but it definitely felt like it was more planned out, even though the fight seemed slower, depending on if I was playing like casual, if I was playing a little bit more hardcore, I was able to put 2 and 2 together, and linking all of the different counters in all the different ways. I know me and Krono, we talked a little bit about that as well, of how you had like 3 different options on how to counter, and each of them were different because you may have like longer frames here, you may have shorter frames in this option, and it's stuff like that because I come from FGC, so it's things like that I love to see, of just having those different optimal combo styles that make a game a lot more in depth than I would typically see it as. All around, the open world was gorgeous, and I know that's not everything that we're getting. I just can't wait for more. I don't want to say too much because a lot that I do have issues with is stuff that I want to wait until they actually finish the game to see if it's improved upon via the skill tree or just by leveling up. But all around, I have to say it was an 8 out of 10 experience, and the only reason why I didn't get the other 2 is because it wasn't the full game.
Solid. Well, yeah, I guess that basically concludes all our experiences with basically the new Genesis beta number 2. So really, just like, I just want to say also on behalf of all of us is just thank you to all the PSO2 content creators out there, everyone who helped share the love around the PSO2 community, and also extend a hugest thank you to, honestly, the PSO2 team that's been helping us, helping the community, and just helping bring Phantasy Star Online 2 to the world and globally and everything. So yeah, that's all really.
Yeah, that's pretty progress, bro.
Thank you. A big pog. Outward.
Big hog.
A big pog outward to the PSO2 community.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are the greatest, to be honest.
The fact that PSO2 Global brought us all together, and now we're ready to go into New Genesis together.
Right?
That was
I
my
mentioned
hope
this
at the
too.
beginning of it. Good stuff, everyone.
I mentioned this to Mark too. Like a lot of us with PSO2 have been doing kind of our own thing, and like normally I'm not someone who likes to sit on Discord consistently. I know like some people they tend to come like converse and things like that. I've spent the most time like hanging out with a lot of the other content creators in Discord and just talking that I never had beforehand. And I feel like going into NGS, that might be something that happens a bit more as well, just because of like just the style of the game overall. Like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I just jump into PSO2 and just do stuff. It doesn't matter who's there. I always feel like no matter what's going on, we're gonna get through it. I always have the joke. It's like get strong enough that it doesn't matter who comes along with you. This is just practice for solo.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where it's like, I want this, I want that. I was like, dude, I don't care. It's just 11 other people that are coming along with hop in the backpack. Let's go.
Yeah.
But like with PSO2 NGS, dude, like, I mean, I spent a ton of time with on Discord with Marc, with Kaz, like Anamana hopped in with Cooney, like all just hung out and had a good time. And I haven't done that in a very long time.
I think it kind of goes back to because we had the conversation about this earlier, and it was just when we're playing PSO2. I mean, we've all come from like early PSO2 at some point, so we know what we want when we're going in, and we're all going for different things. But coming into New Genesis, we don't really know what we want. We don't know what we need, so it's just something where we're just kind of taking that journey and exploring. So it's a lot easier to just come together and just explore it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
not even that too. Like we all also come from like so many different walks of life, you know. But
yes.
it is PSO that literally just manages to bring all of us together. So that's just the magic of it, really.
I think one thing universally that happened to all of us during this beta is we're playing, and then we look at the clock and we're like, whoa, it's already time for the servers to close. It's been 5 hours. I didn't even level.